Assalamualaikum to our beloved lecturer Dr. Junaidah binti Abdul Karim. On this nice day, our group would like to present the group assignment for question number 2. First of all, let me introduce myself first. My name is SOFEA binti ZULKIFLI. My metric number is C1653. Today, I would like to present the SAMI case. Let's start with the storyline of SAMI case. This case explains that SAMI wants to sell 10 acres of residential land to Mas company that deals in the construction business, and the land purchase contract was offered at a price of 2 million ringgit, which is the price offered below price market. SAMI had to agree because he desperately needed money to settle his business debt. To make the decision, SAMI regret because he's rushed to sell the land because negotiation with his business creditors were successful and the bankruptcy proceeding will not continue. At the end of this case, SAMI refused to complete the contract with Mas company. Let's continue to the next slide, which is issue of SAMI case. The contract between SAMI and Mas company is invalid because the contract price is far below the market value. Secondly, SAMI agreed to sell his 10 acres residential land to Mas company at a price of 2 million ringgit, which was far below the market price. Thirdly, SAMI desperately needed money to settle business debt and save himself from bankruptcy proceeding from creditors. Last issue in this case, which is SAMI regret his hasty decision. That's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter.
My name is ATHIRAH binti ZUSUADI. My metric number is S63256. Now I will present my part, which is the principle for SAMI's case. The main principle for SAMI's case is consideration. Consideration is the monetary payment made in exchange for obtaining a commitment. The general rule for consideration stated that an agreement without consideration is void. There are 3 rules of consideration, which are: consideration must be sufficient, needs not be adequate, and needs not move from the promisee. For SAMI's case, we are more focusing on the first and second rules of consideration. As I just mentioned before, an agreement without consideration is void, but there are exceptions for that. A contract without consideration is not void under Section 26A, which is if there is an agreement on account of natural love and affection. It must be in writing, signed by persons with close links to one another or by members of an immediate family, and registered if needed by law. In addition, an agreement without consideration is also valid under Section 26B, which is if there is an agreement to compensate for a past voluntary act. Lastly, an agreement is considered valid under Section 26C, which is if there is an agreement to pay a statute-bearer debts. The case of Pang Sui Kim versus B.I. Hock is similar to SAMI's. The respondent, according to the case, filed a lawsuit seeking possession of the land. During the hearing, the appellant declared that she and the respondent made an oral agreement in which the respondent to give her the land in exchange for $500. In accordance with Section 26B, the federal court concluded that the inadequate consideration was irrelevant on appeal, and the appellant received a positive ruling. Furthermore, there was no evidence of fraud, misrepresentation, or hiding of the property's value. That's all from me. Thank you.
Hello, my name is NURSYAHIRAH FARHANA binti SABRI, and my metric number is S64457. Today, I'm gonna present about the application and conclusion for SAMI case. Based on Section 26B of the Contract Act 1950, a contract without consideration is valid if there is an agreement to compensate for a past voluntary act. In accordance with Section 26B of the Contract Act 1950, SAMI have no choice but to accept the offer since he need the money to pay off his debt from his business and prevent the creditor from declaring bankrupt. Therefore, Masjidan Berhad cannot claim there was no consideration for the promise. In conclusion, the contract between Mas and Sam is considered to be valid.
I will explain about the storyline of Leong case. Leong has been looking for a rental office and he need to pay 1,500 ringgit required by Masjid Berhad in order to rent the office from them. When Leong get accept for a period of time to rent in accordance with for as long as the company wishes. He is interested in the offer made by Mas Berhad at first, but he did not accept it by signing a contract. Leong remained silent after Mas Berhad offered a proposal. He thought that he will get a better offer that Mas company offered depend on the current market price. In this case, there was no acceptance of the agreement from Leong to accept the offer. With the lack of evidence to back up or Leong's lack of acceptance, Mas company cannot take action to enforce the law in this situation. Next, I want to explain about issue of Leong case. The contract between Leong and Mas Berhad is invalid and can be voidable because there is no agreement from Leong. This is because we both parties are prepared to accept the contract term and condition. A contract will be created. So the contract is invalid with the lack of communication between Leong and Mas Berhad on the offer made by the promisor.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is AQILAH binti NAZRI. My matric number is S64335. I would like to present about principle, application and conclusion for Leong case. First of all, it's about principle. In this case has two principles, which is certainty and acceptance. Certainty in the law of contract is a principle in national and international law which holds that parties to a contract shall always look to ensure that a contract is certain. Based on Section 30, the terms uncertain to contract is void. Contract valid if the unclear terms can be made certain by course of dealing or great custom. Second principle is acceptance. Acceptance is an act or implication that provides an acceptance of an offer which forms a binding contract. Based on Section 7b, acceptance must be made in the manner as prescribed by the offerer. Acceptance has three methods involved. The first is immediate communication, the second is positive action, and the last method is by post. The method that is suitable in this issue is the second method, which is immediate communication. This is because silence does not constitute an acceptance based on Section 2B 1950. The act that deals with acceptance is Section 2B of Contract Act 1950 state that when the person, the one who the proposal is made to, has signifies his assent, the offer is said to be acceptance and become a promise. For example, the case is about Feldhaus vs. Bentley. The contract was invalid because there is no acceptance of an offer because silence. Any acceptance of an offer must be clearly communication. The application of this case, based on the fact of the case, the contract between Leong and Mas is a valid certainty contract because the list terms state that Mas is allowed to stay at the place for as long as the company wants. Mas has made an offer to Leong with an office building rental contract at a price of 1,500 ringgit per month. Leong did not make any acceptance to Mas because he remained silent after the proposal. Because in general, keeping silent is not considered acceptance if don't really intend to accept. The conclusion is the contract between Leong and Mas is invalid because there was no acceptance by Leong.